The rain in Seattle did not fall so much as hang in the air, a mist that clung to everything, including the narrow windows of Noah Reed's apartment. He balanced a lunchbox in one hand and a chipped coffee mug in the other, nudging the bedroom door open with his knee. The room was dim, washed in gray morning light. Lily lay sprawled across her blankets, one arm flung over her head, her curls a small storm on the pillow. A half-colored page with a crooked unicorn slipped from the edge of the bed, already crumpled at one corner. "Lil," Noah said softly, "you with me or still on another planet?" She cracked one eye open. "Which planet has no school?" "Nice try," he said. "You have a math quiz. Remember the bargain quiz, first pizza tonight?" She rolled to her side and coughed a dry sound that made him frown. He set the mug on the nightstand and reached for her forehead. Her skin was warm. Not burning, but not normal either. "You feel weird?" he asked. "My throat is scratchy," she said, voice thin, "and my head is heavy, like a bowling ball, the really big one." He sighed under his breath. "Okay, no school today. Doctor, if it gets worse." She smiled like she had just won a prize, then sneezed into her pajama sleeve. Noah's straightened mind already sprinting through logistics. Sick days meant rearranging everything. Tickets in the IT queue, the meeting he was supposed to run, the rent that did not pause when Lily did. He stepped back into the narrow hallway and pulled his phone from his pocket. One thumb tap. Mrs. Gomez. She picked up on the second ring. "Morning, mijo. Let me guess Lily has the sniffles." He could hear a Spanish soap opera in the background and the faint clatter of dishes. The sound was oddly comforting. "More than sniffles," Noah said. "She's running a little warm. I can stay home if you are busy." "You have work," she replied, like that settled it. "I will come. We will watch cartoons and drink tea. If she explodes with fever, I will call and you will run back like a crazy person. Same as always." He felt his shoulders loosen. "You are a saint. Tell that to my sons. Now go, before your boss decides you are fired." He hung up, set the lunchbox on the counter, and scribbled a note on a sticky pad for Lily. Her name in blue ink, a tiny smiley face next to the word tea. He placed it by her favorite purple cup. Little rituals like that had become glue in their small, chaotic life. By the time Mrs. Gomez arrived wrapped in a bright scarf that did not care about Seattle's gray moods, Lily was on the couch, with a blanket up to her chin and a cartoon already playing. Noah kissed her forehead once more. "I'll check my phone," he said. "If you need me, you call, anytime." "Bring me a robot," Lily mumbled, eyes on the screen. "How about I bring you home, not robot dad?" he answered. She did not look away, but her hand reached out and caught his. It was enough. The elevator in his apartment building smelled faintly of old coffee and cleaning spray. Noah rode it down the doors, opening onto a sidewalk, slick with damp. The Northline Dynamics Tower loomed several blocks away, a column of glass and steel rising out of the fog. Even from this distance, its windows caught what little light there was and turned it into a hard, pale gleam. On the bus, he squeezed between a woman with a tote bag and a man asleep against the window. Half the passengers had lanyards around their necks, the quiet badge of tech workers. He glanced at his own tucked into his jacket pocket, the blue logo of Northline pressed against cheap plastic. His phone buzzed. "Incoming call, help desk." He answered. "Noah." A familiar voice came over the line, edge sharp with tension. His supervisor. "Read you at your desk yet?" "Almost to the building," Noah said. "Give me 10. "You get 5. We just got a call from the top floor. CEO's system crashed in the middle of a board call yesterday and again this morning. Harper Lane herself wants it fixed." Noah stopped paying attention to the blur outside the window. "She called us." "Her assistant did," his supervisor corrected. "But still, this came from 38. No remote fix. They want a body up there, and apparently you are the lucky one." A string of explanations raced through Noah's mind. Sick kid, no sleep, wrong guy. All of them died on his tongue. "Okay," he said instead. "I will take it." "Do not screw this up," the voice added, then hung up. Northline Dynamics looked different when you were walking toward it, instead of just glancing up at it from a bus stop. The closer Noah got, the more the tower seemed to lean over the street, all glass planes and sharp angles. The ground floor was a wide lobby, with polished concrete and towering windows. People streamed through in a quiet current, shoes clicking keycards flashing at the gates. Noah scanned his badge, waited for the little green light, and stepped through. The air changed as soon as he entered, cooler and filtered, carrying the faint buzzing hum of hidden machines that never turned off. On the 7th floor where Et lived, the hum was louder. Rows of desks, open cases, screens with lines of code. Someone had left a cold pizza box half open. A fan rattled in the corner. Noah dropped his laptop bag on his chair, ready to log his arrival, but his supervisor appeared beside him. "You are going straight up," the man said, already shoving a visitor clip and a printed pass into Noah's hands. "Priority ticket. Do what you do, make the thing stop breaking, and for the love of everything, do not talk too much." Noah offered a weak smile. "Talking is not usually my problem." "Good. Keep it that way on 38. He picked up his bag again. The strap cut across his shoulder, familiar weight. He checked his phone one more time. A photo from Mrs. Gomez had come in while he was walking. Lily on the couch, blanket over her head, one thumb poking out to give a crooked thumbs up. His chest warmed. He typed a quick reply. "Be good. Drink tea. Love you." He deleted "I will be home early" before sending. He did not make promises like that anymore. The elevator to the executive floors was set apart from the others, tucked behind a security station that looked more like a hotel check-in than a gate. The guard scanned his printed pass and gave him a once-over eyes lingering on Noah's scuffed sneakers, then his worn laptop bag. No comment, just a nod. Inside the elevator walls were smooth brushed metal. His reflection stared back at him, slightly warped. Dark hair he had never quite gotten around to cutting properly, a jaw in need of a shave, a shirt that had seen better mornings. He adjusted the collar with his free hand. A soft musical tone sounded. The panel lit up with floors he had never set foot on. He pressed 38. The button glowed. As the elevator began to rise, Noah felt the subtle pressure in his ears. Numbers blinked past above the door. 11, 15, 21. He watched his own reflection instead of the display, as if one might tell him more than the other. He thought about Lily on the couch, cartoons flickering over her face. About Mrs. Gomez and her soap opera, about the way his supervisor had said Harper Lane herself, like saying a name in a story where the hero was always someone else. The hum of the elevator blended with the quiet thump of his own pulse. Floor 32, 34, 36. Noah tightened his grip on the strap of his bag, rolled his shoulders back, and drew a breath that tasted like cold, recycled air. When the door slid open onto the 38th floor, the sound changed again, softer and thinner, as if the building itself had decided to lower its voice. Noah stepped forward out of the elevator into a hallway lined with glass and light. The hallway outside the elevator felt too quiet, padded in a way that made Noah aware of every step he took. The carpet was soft and pale, the walls mostly glass, opening into offices that looked more like magazine spreads than real workplaces. No buzzing old fans here, no cold pizza boxes, just muted conversations behind closed doors, the rustle of paper, an occasional chime from a phone. He caught his reflection in one of the glass panels. It floated beside those of people in tailored suits and polished shoes, almost like he had been pasted into the wrong photograph. A woman approached him from the far end, moving with the calm urgency of someone whose calendar did not have gaps. She wore a navy dress, a tablet tucked against her side, dark hair pulled into a neat twist. Her badge read Maya Tran. "You must be Noah Reed," she said. Her voice was low, controlled. "From IT." "That is me," he replied, shifting his bag higher on his shoulder. "You called this morning." "I did." She gave him a quick assessing look, as if checking he matched the file in her head. "Ms. Lane's system has been unstable for 3 days. It crashed twice during investor calls. That cannot happen again." "Understood," he said. "Where is her office?" Maya turned and he fell into step beside her. As they walked, she spoke without looking at him. "She stepped out for a meeting on 29. You will have a small window before she returns. If you can fix it, fix it. If you cannot, be honest about that." Noah almost smiled. Honest is my default setting. Maya glanced at him, then the corner of her mouth tightening in what might have been approval. "Good," she said. "People forget we do not have time for anything else up here." They stopped at a door at the end of the hall. Frosted glass, simple plaque, Harper Lane, CEO. No title stacked underneath, no list of degrees. Maya tapped the frame lightly. "I will be on the floor if you need something. Help yourself to water or coffee. Do not touch anything you do not need to." "I will try not to break the world," Noah said. She did not laugh, but her eyes warmed a fraction. "The system has that job covered," she replied and walked away. Noah watched her go, then faced the door. His pulse thudded once in his throat. He pushed it open. Harper Lane's office did not look like what he had expected. He had imagined dark wood, cold chrome, a wall of imposing awards. Instead, the room was almost quiet in its design. Clean lines, light wood floors, a large desk of pale oak with thin metal legs. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped the far wall, showing Seattle in low, cloud the bay, a smudge of gray beyond the buildings. There was art on the walls, not the sharp abstract pieces that usually hung in corporate spaces. These were softer, watercolor landscapes, a small frame print of a forest path, nothing oversized, nothing screaming for attention. No family photos though, no smiling relatives, no candid snapshots tacked to the edge of the monitor, only a single potted plant near the window, its leaves glossy and neatly trimmed. Noah stepped closer to the desk. The laptop sat open-lid, half-lowered, a sleek metal rectangle with the company logo etched into the corner. Next to it lay a black notebook with a pen diagonally across the cover. The angle of the pen was too precise to be accidental. He set his bag on the floor and slid into the chair. It was smooth and silent, the leather firm under his hands. He woke the laptop with a tap of the trackpad. The screen glowed to life, bright against the muted room. The Northline logo appeared first, then a spinning icon. The system hummed, stalled, hummed again. The fan kicked a little louder, then softened. "Come on," Noah murmured. "Talk to me." Log messages flickered in one corner. Then, without warning, the screen broke from its boot sequence and snapped into something else. A thumbnail window expanded full color, filling the display. A lake, dark blue ringed by pine trees. A wooden dock reaching into the water, the kind of place that smelled like wet wood and sap and cool air even through a screen. On the dock, sitting with her legs crossed, was a woman, sweater the color of ash jeans, bare feet resting on the boards. Her hair was loose wind, pushing a few strands across her face. She had her chin tipped slightly down, eyes not on the camera, but on something just beyond it. The light caught her features gently, giving her skin a warm glow. Noah knew it was Harper Lane. Not from magazine covers, though he had seen those in passing sharp lines and bold fonts. This was different. Her mouth had a small curve to it that was not quite a smile, but not a pose either. Her shoulders were relaxed. There was an ease in her posture, like she had not been thinking about her posture at all. He leaned in without meaning to. The photo had the texture of a moment that had not been staged. Someone had called her name, maybe. She had turned her head, the shutter had clicked, and the day had gone on. Ordinary, private. The humming of the tower faded until he could only hear his own breath. The laptop flickered, the image glitched, colors lagging behind for a heartbeat, then vanished as the whole system went dark. The fan spun down. The room seemed to inhale. Noah blinked at the blank screen. It showed him his own face, faint and distorted in the black glass. He could still see the lake in his mind, the rough boards of the dock, the way her sweater had bunched at one elbow. That was not normal, he said quietly. He woke the machine again. This time the logo stayed. Progress bar's diagnostic messages, he recognized a quick error code flashing at the bottom. He made a mental note of it, fingers already moving to open the tools he needed. The system had not meant to show him that image. It had been a hiccup, a wrong turn in the boot path, a glitch in the startup sequence. Still, the accident had left something behind, a residue of someone he did not know. He opened the event viewer, scanned through lines of timestamps and warnings. Power loss, forced restart, application failure. He followed the path like a trail through dense trees, clicking, scrolling, narrowing the window. Behind him, the glass wall reflected his shape, bent over the laptop, the outline of the chair, the plant by the window. In the reflection, the city floated like a painting. Noah was so used to being the one who slipped in and out of rooms unnoticed that it took him a second to register the soft sound behind him, the faint shift of air, the whisper of a heel on the floor. He did not turn right away. He saved his place in the log, set a scan to run, then lifted his hands from the keyboard. "Is it doing it again?" The voice came from near the door, calm even, not loud, but it carried. Noah swiveled the chair. Harper Lane stood just inside the office, one hand still on the door handle. She was taller than he had expected, or maybe it was the way she held herself that gave that impression. Dark hair pulled back into a low, smooth knot at the nape of her neck. Black suit, white shirt, minimal jewelry. The lines of her clothes were sharp and clean. In person, her face was less severe than the press photos made it seem. The angles were still there, the high cheekbones, the firm jaw, but there was something more human in the way her eyes moved as they took him in. Quick, precise, not unkind. She stepped fully into the room and let the door close behind her. The latch clicked softly. "I take it you are Noah," she said. "Yes," he answered, rising from the chair. "From it. From IT." Her mouth repeated the words without judgment. She set the tablet in her hand on the corner of the desk, aligning it with the edge. "Maya said you were on your way up." He nodded once, unsure whether to offer a handshake. She solved it by not extending hers. Her attention shifted to the laptop. "Has it crashed again?" she asked. "It cut my presentation twice this week. Investors do not enjoy fumbling through spreadsheets while the system decides how it feels." "I can imagine," Noah said. "It did something strange on startup. I am running diagnostics now. We will find out why it keeps tripping over itself." Her gaze slid back to him at that. For a second he wondered if he had said too much. Too casual, too metaphorical. Top floor executives liked clean answers, not commentary. She did not look offended. She looked curious. "Tripping over itself," she repeated. Her eyes went briefly to the black screen, then to his face. "That sounds accurate." She crossed to the windows, folded her arms loosely, and looked out at the pale city. Her reflection appeared in the glass beside his own, a faint double image. Noah sat again, fingers hovering over the keys. He could feel the weight of her presence behind him, not heavy, but focused like a beam of light that had turned in his direction. He told himself to breathe, to focus on the crash logs, on the corrupted files, on the simple mechanics of a machine that had stopped behaving the way it should. Still, the brief flash of the lake clung to the edges of his thoughts, as real as the hum of the building, as if the system had opened a door by accident and left it ajar. For a while, the only sound in the office was the quiet clicking of keys and the low steady whir of the building's systems. The logs scrolled. Noah followed the trail of errors. Memory spikes, abrupt shutdown. Restart attempts layered on top of each other like overlapping footprints. Behind him, Harper stayed by the window. He could feel her attention like a shift in temperature. She was not pacing. She was not checking her phone. She simply stood there, arms folded, gaze trained on the city. "You have been with Northline how long?" she asked. Her voice came without warning. He did not turn. 3 years, he said. Started on help desk. Graduated to fixing the messes nobody else wants to touch. "So this counts as a mess," she said. He allowed a small smile. "Any system that interrupts a CEO mid-sentence counts as a mess where I am from." There was a faint sound that might almost have been a laugh. Not a full one, more like a breath with softer edges. He opened another panel. A startup process had thrown a warning right before the crash. A media library indexing at the wrong time. He made a mental note and reached for the trackpad to expand it. "You looked surprised when I came in." The words landed close, closer than the talk about crash logs. Noah paused. The cursor blinked on the screen, waiting for instruction. "Sorry," he said. "Was not expecting company yet." "That was not it," Harper replied. He felt her move away from the window. The soft rhythm of her steps crossed the room until he could sense her just behind his right shoulder. He kept his eyes on the monitor. "You were looking at something," she said. "When I walked in, then the system shut down and you looked like you had seen a ghost." He swallowed. The image of the lake rose up again, clear, as if it had been branded on the back of his eyelids. "It was just a short glitch," he said. "The system popped open a window on its own. It happens sometimes when files are tied into startup the wrong way." "That is the technical answer," she said. "I am asking about the other part." He frowned at the screen. His hand stayed very still on the edge of the laptop. "I do not know what you mean," he said. Harper walked around the desk. She stopped on the other side across from him and leaned back against the wood. Her tablet sat beside her elbow. The plant near the window reflected faintly in the glass behind her, a small blur of green. "You looked at something you were not supposed to see," she said. Her tone was not accusing. It was simply accurate. "Then you tried to pretend it did not happen." He finally met her eyes. They were a deep, steady brown framed by the cool lines of her expression. Up close, he noticed a tiny scar near her left eyebrow, a pale line that softened the symmetry of her face. "I did not go looking," he said. "It came up on its own, for about 3 seconds. Then your system crashed again." "What came up?" she asked. Her voice was even. The question hung between them like a weight suspended on a thin string. Noah hesitated. Somewhere down in his pocket, his phone rested against his leg. He thought of Lily's picture on the couch. Honesty as default setting. It had felt simple on the bus. Less simple in a room like this. "It looked like a photo," he said. "A lake, pine trees, wooden dock. You were sitting on it." Something in Harper's face changed. It was small, almost nothing. A shift around her mouth. A slight tightening near her eyes. She looked away just for a second toward the dark screen, then back. "You saw that," she said. It was not a question. Noah nodded once. "I did. It was fast. I closed it as soon as the system dropped out." "I am not concerned about you clicking it." Her gaze sharpened. "I am concerned with something else." She studied him as if reading lines of code in his posture. "What did you think when you saw it?" she asked. The question surprised him more than the appearance of the image had. "I am not sure that is important," he said. "It is very important to me," Harper replied. There was no heat in her words, no flare of temper, only a quiet insistence. She was not an investor demanding numbers. She was a person asking for something specific. He could have given her a safe answer. "Nice photo, good lighting, looks peaceful." Those were the kind of comments people used when they were only half paying attention. She did not look like she was in the mood for half attention. "It caught me off guard," he said slowly. "Because you were not expecting my personal files to appear," she said. "Because I was not expecting you to look like that," he corrected. Her head tilted a fraction. "Like what?" The cursor blinked again, patient and unbothered, in the corner of the screen. He drew a breath. "In that photo you looked like a person on a weekend," he said. "Not the woman who runs this whole place. You looked relaxed. Happy might be a stretch, but close." One corner of her mouth lifted, then smoothed out. "A person on a weekend," she repeated. "That is oddly specific." "I do not have many weekends," he replied, "so I tend to notice them when I see them." For the first time since she had walked in, Harper seemed unsure of what to do with her hands. She shifted from leaning on the desk to resting her palms flat against its edge. "You did not answer my question," she said. He frowned. "I thought I did." "You gave me context," she said. "I am asking for a simple thing." She hesitated, and when she spoke next, her voice dropped just enough that he had to focus to catch each word. "Do you think I look pretty in it?" The room seemed to tighten around the edges. The hum of the vents, the faint ring of city noise against the glass, even the quiet tick of the wall clock all fell into the background. Of all the questions he had expected from Harper Lane, that was not on the list. He studied her face, searching for humor, for the sarcasm that usually came with a trap. There was none. She watched him with a kind of stillness that felt almost fragile. "You are asking me that," he said. "Yes." "Your IT guy." "Yes," she said again. "Because your filter seems broken in a way that I find useful." He almost laughed, but the look on her face stopped him. She was not fishing for flattery. If anything, she seemed braced for something else. "You want honesty," he said. "It would be unfair to change the rules now," she replied. He leaned back in the chair, his fingers curling around the armrests. He let himself see the image properly in his mind, not as a glitch but as a moment. "The photo did not look like it was taken for a magazine," he said. "You were not posing. Your hair was messy at the ends. There were shadows under your eyes, but you looked like you did not mind." Harper's eyes narrowed slightly, not in irritation, but in concentration. "You looked like you were somewhere you did not have to prove anything," he went on. "There was this light on your face that made you seem softer. And yeah, you were pretty, but that was not what made me stare." "What did?" she asked. "The fact that you looked like you were not carrying anything for a minute," he said. "No board. No investors, no headlines, just you on a dock with bad sweater choices." At that, a sound escaped her that was almost a real laugh. It surprised them both. It changed her face. Lines of tension around her mouth eased for a second before settling back. "The sweater was a gift," she said, "from my sister. She insisted I wear it or she would drag me back to the city." "So you sacrificed fashion to avoid being dragged," he said. "I chose comfort," she replied. "It was a rare event." She looked past him over his shoulder to some point on the wall. The softness from the almost laugh lingered faint. "You saw something I try very hard to keep separate from this place," she said. "From this floor." "I did not mean to," he said. "I know," she answered. "That may be why I am still talking to you." He lifted his hands again, turning back to the keyboard out of habit more than need, but he felt her gaze on him. "This is not the part," she said quietly, "where you pretend it meant nothing." He glanced up. The honesty in her expression had shifted into something else. Not vulnerability exactly, but something close. A door cracked open a few inches. "It did not mean nothing," he said. "It just was not my business." "Today it is," she said, "for at least the next 5 minutes." She pushed off the desk and moved away just enough to stand beside the chair, not looming but present. Her eyes were on the dark screen, not him, yet he knew she was listening to every breath. His answer was already hanging in the air between them. She had heard the parts that mattered. The rest was quiet. The silence of someone who had been seen in a way they had not agreed to, and was deciding how to live with it. Harper was the one who broke the silence. "That dock is at Crescent Lake," she said. 2 hours from here, if the mountain road is kind." Noah turned a little in his chair, enough to see her out of the corner of his eye. She had moved back to the window, hands in her pockets, now shoulders not as stiff as before. "I have seen pictures of the area," he said. "Never been." You should take your daughter there, she replied. If you can survive the drive, the air almost feels clean. Her reflection in the glass looked softer than her outline in the room. Seattle floated beyond her shoulder, blurred by the clouds. My sister took that photo, she continued. Jenna. She decided I was turning into a statue and needed to sit near actual water instead of screensavers. Noah tried to imagine someone giving the CEO of Northline orders about lakes and sweaters. It was easier than he expected. Did it work? He asked. For a day, Harper said. Maybe 2. She shifted her weight, leaning one shoulder lightly against the frame. The plant near the window brushed the sleeve of her jacket. I had not taken a real break in 11 months, she said. Every time my calendar had a free weekend, something crawled into it. A board retreat, an urgent call, some crisis that could not possibly wait until Monday. Funny how crises know the exact moment you sit down, Noah said. Her mouth curved. Crisis has my direct number. He watched her from the side. The line of her profile against the glass looked almost like the woman on the dock if he stripped away the suit and the city and all the invisible weight. Jenna booked the cabin without asking, Harper went on. She told me if I brought a laptop, she would throw it in the lake. I thought she was joking until I saw how far she could throw a rock. Noah smiled. Siblings said we'd be can be persuasive. She has known me longer than anyone, Harper said. She remembers when I slept 8 hours and ate food that did not come in small catering trays. There was affection in her voice buried under years of distance. It surprised him more than any sharp comment would have. That weekend, she said, we did nothing important. We read, we burned pancakes. She made me swim even though the water felt like it had just remembered it used to be snow. The photo looked warm, he said. The photo lies, she replied. My feet were numb for an hour. He let the image adjust in his mind, the lake colder, the air thinner, but the expression on her face still the same. It was the last time I went anywhere without bringing half the company with me, she said. After that, the deals got bigger. The board got louder. The quiet days became something we promised ourselves for later, when things calmed down. Things do not calm down, Noah said. Not on their own, she agreed. She fell quiet for a moment. The city moved behind the glass cars, inching along wet streets, tiny lives stacked on top of each other in concrete. When people talk about Harper Lane, she said finally, they use words like efficient and unstoppable. They forget those usually mean tired and cornered. He glanced back at the laptop at the neat columns of error messages. It was easier to look at lines of text than at what was sitting just under her words. I do not think tired is the first word they think of, he said. That is by design, she replied. No one invests in tired. She looked at him directly, then holding his gaze with a steady calm. Up here, she said, I am a function. Brains, decisions, results. People come into this office with their polished slides and their prepared compliments. They look at me and see a title. There was no self-pity in her tone, only a flat assessment. You saw something else, she said. For 3 seconds without my permission. Noah rested his forearms on the desk. The laptop hummed quietly, its scan still running. I work with systems all day, he said. Servers, workstations, networks. When something starts acting weird, you can either pretend it is fine and hope it fixes itself, or you admit there is more going on and actually look. Which one do most people choose? She asked. Hope, he said. Until smoke comes out, a breath of something like amusement moved across her features. It did not reach her eyes, but it loosened the set of her shoulders. I appreciate that you did not start throwing compliments around when you saw that picture, she said. Most people would. I am not great at saying what I do not mean, he replied. That is a dangerous habit in a building like this, she said. It is less work than keeping track of lies, he answered. Single parenting burns off the energy for pretending. Her focus sharpened. You mentioned a daughter, Lily Wright. He nodded. 8, smarter than me, louder than the TV, currently at home with a low-grade fever and a remote control she probably plans to take apart. She likes to see how things work, Harper said. She likes to see if I will notice what she has broken, he said. We are in a constant arms race. He meant it as a joke, but the warmth that rushed through him when he said her name was not funny at all. It was a quiet, steady flame. That sounds exhausting, Harper said. It is, he replied, in the best possible way. She watched his face, the edges of her posture easing. I have never had that, she said. Someone who needs me in a way that is not tied to deadlines or share prices. There is still a lot of needing, he said. Snacks, band-aids, late-night monster patrols. Monster patrols, she repeated. That is what we call checking under the bed, he said. She knows there is nothing there, but she likes hearing me say it. He paused, then added, Sometimes I think the patrol is more for me than for her. Because you need proof you can make something safe, Harper said. He nodded once. And because it is one of the few problems I can fix with a flashlight instead of a patch. Silence settled again, but it felt different now. Less like two people in a formal office, more like two variables drawn into the same equation. When Mia Sari Lily was born, Noah said, correcting himself from old habit, I decided I would handle everything. Work diapers, doctor visits, sleep deprivation. I told myself I did not need help, that asking for it meant I was failing at the job. How did that go? She asked. I got very good at carrying too much, he said. So good I forgot what it felt like to put anything down. Harper's eyes flickered with recognition. He knew that look, the shape of someone realizing their own pattern in someone else's story. That feels familiar, she said quietly. He turned back to the laptop, if only to give her a little space inside the truth she had just acknowledged. The diagnostics window chimed softly, results flashing green and yellow across the screen. Noah scrolled. The same process popped up again and again, trying to run at startup, tripping over other services, failing, restarting the whole system. There it is, he murmured. What did you find? Harper asked. Your machine is trying to load too much at once, he said. There is a media indexer tied into your startup sequence. Some files in its path are corrupted. Every time you boot, it trips on them and forces a restart. She moved closer, standing beside him now, looking at the streams of text she likely did not need in order to understand the gist. In plain English, she said. In plain English, he replied. Your system keeps trying to wake up using bad instructions. It starts the day on broken code, then collapses under the weight of it. He caught his own reflection on the dark edge of the screen, his face layered with hers in the glass. It is not a hardware problem, he added. The machine is fine. It is the way it is being told to act at the start that is messing everything up. Harper rested a hand lightly on the back of the chair. Her fingers were steady. Can you fix it? She asked. Yes, he said. I will remove the corrupted files, clean up the startup sequence, and set it so the system only boots what it actually needs. It will still have to work hard. It just will not be stumbling over junk data every time it wakes. That sounds ideal, she said. He opened a few more tools, fingers moving with the ease of long habit. As he worked, he spoke without looking at her. There is a limit to what any system can take, he said. You overload it long enough, ignore all the warnings, pretend the small crashes do not matter. It will start finding its own ways to shut down. Somewhere between his voice and the steady scroll of code, the words curved away from the laptop and into the room. He knew it. She knew it. In this case, he added, you caught it before it burned out. Harper did not respond right away. He could feel her watching him, weighing each syllable. Good to know something in this building has a chance, she said. Her tone was light, but there was a thread of something denser woven through it. Noah allowed himself a small, unseen smile. We can teach the others, he said, one system at a time. The laptop whirred softly, clearing its throat, readying itself to start in a cleaner way. Behind the glass, the city remained wrapped in cloud, waiting. Noah finished clearing the last of the corrupted entries and reset the startup configuration. The steps were simple once he had found the problem. Most fixes were like that. Hunting took the time. The repair was often a few careful clicks. All right, he said softly. Let us see what you do now. He restarted the system. The screen went black, then lit with the Northline logo. The progress bar moved across without stuttering. No stray windows, no desperate attempts to open media libraries that had nowhere stable to land. The desktop appeared icons sliding into place in neat rows. Harper leaned in beside him close enough that he caught the faint scent of her perfume. Clean, not sweet. Something like citrus and cold air. That is it, he said. Startup sequence is clean. It should not crash on you again, at least not for this reason. She studied the screen as if expecting it to misbehave out of spite. When it did not, she glanced at the diagnostic window he had left open. And if it does, she asked, then it will be a different problem, he said, which I will fight when it shows up. He closed his tools and stood stepping back so she could take her chair if she wanted. She did not sit. She watched him instead. Thank you, she said. That is my job, he replied. I am not just talking about the machine, she said. He met her eyes. There was that steadiness again, but something else threaded through it now. A recognition. not of his title or the badge at his hip, but of him. You were honest, she added. Most people on this floor talk like they are in a commercial. You did not. I am not very good at commercials, he said. Good, she replied. We already have enough of those. He reached for his bag. The strap slipped easily over his shoulder, familiar weight settling against his side. If it acts up again, he said, nodding at the laptop, have Maya send a ticket. I will keep an eye on the logs from downstairs for a bit. Harper looked at him like she wanted to say something else. The moment stretched. Then she inclined her head in a small, measured nod. I will do that, she said. Noah turned toward the door. The glass wall caught his reflection for a second. His shape superimposed over the city beyond an outline walking through someone else's world. As he stepped back into the hallway, the hum of the building rose around him again. The elevator at the end of the corridor waited with its brushed metal doors blank and closed. He pressed the button and watched his own hand slightly unsteady pull away. On the ride down, he stared at the numbers, 35, 29, 17. The tightness in his chest slowly unwound as the floors slid past. By the time the doors opened on 7, the smell of cold pizza and old coffee felt almost comforting. In the IT room, someone had turned the music back up. A pop song thumped low from a speaker on a desk. His supervisor called across the room. How bad was it? Fixable, Noah said. Startup mess. It should behave now. Good, his supervisor replied. Last thing we need is upper floors breathing fire. Noah dropped into his chair, finally letting out the breath he had been carrying since the elevator opened on 38. He woke, his own monitor checked his queue, and saw the normal chaos waiting. Printer issues, password resets, someone in marketing who had somehow deleted their entire email archive. His phone buzzed, a message from Mrs. Gomez. Lily ate soup, no more fever. She says cartoon dragons are unrealistic and would like your opinion. He smiled at the screen. Tell her we will conduct a full dragon review tonight, he typed back. By the time he shut down his station at the end of the day, the strange encounter with Harper had begun to feel like something that might blur at the edges. A story his brain would file under odd things that happened once and tuck away. Morning proved him wrong. He arrived at his desk with a fresh coffee and the mild ache behind his eyes that came from sleeping in fits. The room smelled of new paper and stale sugar. Someone had brought donuts and left the empty box as evidence. He logged in. His email client bloomed with messages, updates, tickets, a company-wide memo about security training. At the top of his inbox sat a message flagged with a small red symbol. From M-Trans subject, follow up. His stomach tightened. He clicked it. Noah, Ms. Lane would like to see you this morning. 10:30, conference room 38B. Maya. There were no extra words, no explanation, no tone to parse, just location and time. He checked the timestamp, sent at 8:04, read at 8:12. 2 hours and change to sit with the wondering. He sipped his coffee. It tasted sharper than usual. You okay? His supervisor had rolled his chair to the edge of Noah's desk, leaning his elbows on his knees. Fine, Noah said. You look like somebody told you the building is on fire, the man said. Again. Harper wants a follow-up, Noah said. Conference room on 38. His supervisor's eyebrows rose. The big floor twice in 2 days. Try not to break anything. I will keep my hands in my pockets, Noah said. He did not keep his hands in his pockets. At 10:20, he adjusted the strap of his laptop bag and walked toward the executive elevator again, fingers lightly touching the edge of his badge clipped to his belt. The security guard recognized him this time. A small nod passed between them. Inside the elevator, his reflection greeted him in the brushed metal. He studied it as if it belonged to a stranger. Same hair, same faded jacket, same dull lanyard, different eyes, less certain. He thought of Lily's head on his shoulder that morning, warm and heavy, when she had shuffled out of her room and leaned against him while he tied his shoes. You going to fix more robot stuff? She had asked. Something like that, he had said. Do not let the robots be the boss, she had mumbled. I will see what I can do, he had answered. The elevator chimed. The doors opened to the quiet opulence of the 38th floor. He stepped out. Conference room 38B sat halfway down the corridor, a smaller space tucked between larger offices. Its door was propped open. Inside, glass walls looked out over the city, and a long table sat empty except for a carafe of water and 2 glasses. Harper was already there. She stood at the far end of the table, hands resting lightly on the back of a chair jacket unbuttoned. The morning light from the windows softened the edges of her suit. She turned as he entered. Mr. Reed, she said. Noah is fine, he replied. Noah, she corrected as if testing the feel of the name. Thank you for coming. I sort of assumed it was not optional, he said, then winced inwardly. His mouth often moved faster than his caution. To his surprise, a faint amusement crossed her face. Technically, no, she said, but you still could have pretended the email went to spam. I try not to fight gravity, he said. She motioned to a chair halfway down the table, not at the far end, not right beside her, but at a distance that felt deliberate, equal, not random. Please sit, she said. He obeyed, setting his bag on the floor and folding his hands on the polished surface. The table was smooth under his fingers, cool from the air conditioning. For a moment, Harper said nothing. She poured water into one of the glasses, then seemed to remember her guest and filled the second, sliding it toward him. I have been thinking about yesterday, she said. He tried to keep his face neutral. About your system, he asked. About you, she said. He felt his breath catch, then even out again when she continued. About the way you spoke, and the fact that you did not flinch when you realized whose computer you were fixing. I flinched a little, he admitted. I just tried not to do it where you could see. Her mouth curved faintly. You did better than most. She took her own seat at the head of the table, folding her hands lightly. I realized something after you left, she said. I have a lot of people around me who are very good at their jobs. Analysts, executives, advisors. They know how to make things look right on paper. They know how to talk to a board. They know how to survive in rooms like this one. That sounds useful, he said. It is, she replied. What I do not have is a lot of people who will tell me the truth without trying to dress it up first. She held his gaze. The glass walls around them turned the rest of the floor into a silent backdrop. Yesterday you told me what you saw, she said. Even when it was awkward. You did not try to sell me a version of myself you thought I wanted. You did not turn it into a compliment campaign. You just said what was there. He looked down at his hands. His knuckles had a faint scrape from bumping into Lily's toy box earlier in the week. I am not sure I know how to do it any other way, he said. Good, Harper said, because I need that. She leaned back slightly in her chair. I am putting together a small team, she said. A group that will look at the internal systems that do not show up on glossy reports. Workflow bottlenecks, communication fails, things people are afraid to say out loud because it might make them look disloyal. Noah listened, the words falling into place like pieces of a puzzle he had not known existed. I want people in the room who see the cracks before they become headlines, she went on, not just from the top down, from the middle, from the floors where the work actually happens. She paused. I want you on that team, she said. For a second, Noah thought he had misheard her. He blinked. Me, he said. Yes, she replied. I fix computers, he said. I am not a strategist. Her expression did not change. You read system, she said. You understand how they behave when they are under quiet stress. You notice what is failing before everyone else does, and you are not afraid to say something unflattering when it is true. She let that sit for a beat. Those are the qualifications I am interested in, she added. He stared at the smooth surface of the table, his own face reflecting faintly in the polished wood. The hum of the building felt louder in his ears. You are serious, he said. I am rarely anything else, Harper replied. Benji Harper replied. The water in his glass trembled very slightly as he reached for it. He took a sip to fill the space where words had fled. She watched him, not rushing, waiting for his mind to catch up with the offer that now sat between them like a folder placed gently on the table, waiting to be opened. Noah set the glass down very carefully, as if it might break with the wrong kind of touch. I do not think I am the person you are looking for, he said. I am good with machines. I am less good with rooms like this. You have been in exactly one room like this, Harper said. You are still in it. Exactly, he replied. She did not look away. Her gaze stayed steady, measuring but not cold. When your system crashed, he said, I did what I always do. I followed the error trail, took out the broken part, and tried to keep things from catching fire. That does not mean I know how to sit beside people who make decisions for thousands of employees. You sit beside them already, she said. You just do it on a different floor. That is not the same. No, she agreed. Downstairs you clean up after their decisions. I am asking you to help prevent some of the mess in the first place. He was quiet. The words settled in his chest, heavy and strange. Look, he said, I work full-time already. I have Lily. My days are scheduled around school pickup and sick days and the fact that she still hates the dentist. I cannot sit in 3-hour meetings 6 times a week. I am not asking you to, Harper said. This is not a second job. It is a different way of doing the one you already have. He frowned. I am listening. I want you to keep your role in IT, she said. That perspective is part of why I picked you. The team will meet at specific times for specific projects. We will not drag you into every executive ritual. I do not attend half of those myself unless someone forces me. The corner of his mouth lifted in spite of the tension. This will mean extra hours, he said. It will mean different hours, she replied. We can schedule around school runs, around days when Lily is sick. If we cannot, the team is not what I want it to be. He sat back a little. The thought of the CEO adjusting a schedule for his 8-year-old felt like something out of a show, not his life. Why me? He asked. You could pick a dozen managers who actually wear suits on purpose. I have plenty of suits, she said. What I do not have is someone who walks into my office, sees something that does not fit, and refuses to pretend it is fine just because it might be uncomfortable to say so. I am not special for that, he said. You are rarer than you think, she replied. Her expression did not have any of the forced brightness he had seen in corporate videos. It was calm, almost quiet, but there was weight behind it. This team is not a favor, she said. If you say yes, you will be in rooms where people are not used to being told no. You will be asked what you think, and I will expect you to answer. You will probably annoy some of my department heads, and they will complain to me. I am fine with that. I want people to stop telling me only what they think I wish to hear. He let the picture form in his mind. A table like this one, people with titles and salaries that lived in different universes from his. Him sitting among them, trying not to fidget with the strap of his bag. My schedule is not the only issue, he said. I do not speak like they do. I do not know the language. Good, she said. That is half the point. He raised an eyebrow. Most people in our upper layers have learned to talk in circles, she said. They can spend an hour saying nothing dangerous. You do not have that reflex. When you talk, it lands. I heard it yesterday when you described my system, and when you described that photo. He breathed in slowly, held it, and let it go. This could go wrong, he said. Everything we do here could go wrong, she answered. Staying with what has always been done is not a guarantee of safety. It is just a guarantee of more of the same. The glass walls made the room feel exposed, but there was also a strange kind of privacy in the way sound fell away beyond them. People passed in the corridor, their mouths moving in silent conversations. None of them looked in. You are not invisible, Harper said quietly. Not to me. You can pretend you are just the guy who fixes the machines, but that is not the only version of you that exists. He rubbed a thumb across a faint coffee ring on the table that someone else had left behind. It came away under his skin. I am trying to imagine explaining this to Lily, he said. She already thinks I talk to robots for a living. What would you tell her? Harper asked. That I will be spending more time in weird rooms with too much glass, he said, and that sometimes people might actually listen when I say something is broken. Does that sound like something you want? She asked. He thought of the stacks of tickets that came in every week, the same issues repeating, because fixes at the edges never reached the center. The way certain problems were just accepted, shrugged off as part of the job. It sounds like something that might matter, he said. Then say yes, Harper replied. There was no pressure in her tone, only intent. She looked at him as if she already saw a version of the future where he had agreed and the room had adjusted around that choice. He picked up his water glass again, more for something to do with his hands than because he was thirsty. The coolness against his fingers grounded him. If I say no, he asked, what happens? Then you keep doing your current job, she said. You take care of your daughter. I find someone else, though. I am not convinced there is another you on your floor. We nod politely in the elevator. Nothing about your position will suffer because you were honest with me. He believed her. It surprised him how quickly that certainty came. And if I say yes, he asked. Then we see what you can do in a different chair, she said. The choice sat between his ribs, tight and real. Fear and something that felt suspiciously like curiosity pulled at opposite ends. He pictured Lily legs swinging off the couch, explaining dragons to the television. Daddy, if you are scared, you can still do it, she had told him once when he had hesitated at the top of a ladder. You just take the scared with you. He had laughed then and climbed the rest of the way to fix the bulb. He did not laugh now, but the memory helped. Okay, Noah said. He heard the word leave his mouth before his mind fully caught up with it. Yes. Harper's shoulders relaxed by a fraction, as if she had been holding some of her own breath too. All right, she said. We will start small. 2 meetings a week. I will send you the details. If anything conflicts with Lily, you tell me. We adjust. You say that very easily, he said. Because I mean it, she replied. She stood and so did he. She extended her hand. He took it. Her grip was firm, palm warm against his. The handshake was brief, businesslike, but there was a human steadiness in it that he did not often feel in this building. "Welcome to the team," she said. The words landed with more force than he expected, not just because of the opportunity, but because of how she said them, as if he belonged in a way he was not used to believing. On his way back down, the elevator ride felt shorter. The numbers blinked by, but his mind was not on them. It was on meeting agendas that did not exist yet, on conversations he had not had, on the unfamiliar weight of being asked for his opinion on purpose. The next few weeks rearranged themselves around the new shape of his days. His first team meeting took place in a smaller room than the one where she had made the offer. Round table not long. 4 other people sat around it when he arrived. A woman from operations with sharp eyes and ink on her fingers, a logistics manager who looked like he had not slept in years, a customer support lead who wore sneakers with her blazer, and a data analyst with a laptop full of color-coded charts. They glanced up when Noah walked in. 1 or 2 faces registered confusion, then adjusted when Harper entered behind him. "Everyone," she said, taking a seat that was not at the head, because there was no head. "This is Noah. He is here because he sees things we miss." The operations woman gave him a nod. "Good, we need more of that." Harper laid out the purpose of the group in simple terms. No slide decks, no corporate phrases, just questions. "Where are we wasting time?" she asked. "Where are people pretending something works because they think I do not want to hear otherwise? Where are we treating employees or customers like parts instead of people?" Noah listened quiet at first, hands loosely folded. The conversation flowed around him. Complaints surfaced, then were examined instead of dismissed. "In support, we are drowning in repeat tickets from the same 3 modules," the woman in sneakers said. "We flag it, but the fixes never stick." "They do not stick because the incentive structure does not reward long-term solutions," the analyst added. "The teams are measured on speed of closure, not durability." Harper nodded. "So we are incentivizing tape, not repair." Noah felt his throat move with the urge to speak. He cleared it. "From IT," he said when the others looked his way. "We see patterns before they show up in your reports. The same people log the same problems over and over. The same departments ignore the same warnings. Sometimes we send recommendations up, but they get lost somewhere between floors." "Where?" Harper asked. He exhaled. "Middle management. People who do not want to relay bad news because it will look like they are failing." The logistics manager snorted softly. "He is not wrong." "Can we build a direct channel?" Harper asked. "For certain categories of issues. One that bypasses the usual ladder." "That will make some people very unhappy," the analyst said. "Some people are already unhappy," Harper replied. "I would rather it be for a good reason." The discussion gained heat, not the destructive kind, but the kind that cooks something real. At some point, Noah forgot to be cautious. He found himself pointing to specific log patterns describing how certain errors lined up with particular policy changes. Harper kept bringing the conversation back to the same point. "Where does this break?" she asked. "Who is living with the consequences?" Every time he spoke, she looked at him full on, not to correct him, to listen. Outside the conference room, his regular work did not vanish. There were still printers to debug, still accounts to unlock, still late-night calls when servers hiccuped. He found himself moving between worlds, one where he crawled under desks and one where he sat at tables with people whose shoes cost more than his rent. It was disorienting but not unpleasant. After one meeting, as the others filtered out, Harper held back. "You handled yourself well," she said. "I did not knock over my water," he answered. "I am counting that as a win." "You did more than that," she said. "You gave them a different way to look at their own numbers." He shrugged, suddenly shy under the praise. "I just told them what we see from our side." "That is exactly what I want," she said. He picked up his bag. "In that case, I will keep doing it." "You should," she replied. He had expected the glances from other executives after word spread that the CEO had pulled an IT tech into her inner project. Some were wary, some were dismissive. A few were openly curious. One afternoon in the elevator, a man in a tailored suit with an expensive watch looked at Noah's badge. "Read right," the man said. "You are Harper's computer whisperer." "I talk to more than computers now," Noah said. "So I have heard," the man replied. Interesting choice on her part. "Do you mean me or the idea?" Noah asked. The man smiled without warmth. "Both." The doors opened. The man stepped out. Harper waited just outside. She had caught enough of the exchange to read its shape. "Problems?" she asked. "Just gravity," Noah said. Her eyes held his for a second. "Let me know if anyone decides to make it personal," she said. He believed her again. It was becoming a pattern he did not resent. In quieter moments, when he walked through the lobby at night with his bag on his shoulder, and the building lights humming above him, he noticed that the tower felt different than it had that first morning. The glass still shone. The air still held that filtered chill. The distance between floors still existed. Yet there were new lines now, invisible ones, paths between level that had not been there for him before. Paths opened by a broken startup file, a lake photograph, and a woman who had decided that one technician's unfiltered words were worth dragging into rooms where filters were the norm. The days took on a new rhythm. Morning was still Lily and cereal and missing socks. Third floor was still buzz and ticket queues and the smell of overheated plastic. But a few times each week, as afternoon slid toward evening, Noah would get a notification from his calendar that pulled him back to the upper floors. Sometimes the meetings went long. Sometimes they ran short. Some ended in raised voices and red faces. Others ended in quiet scribbles on notepads that would turn into changes weeks later. Through all of it, Harper stayed steady at the center, listening more than she spoke, redirecting when the talk started to circle. When the room emptied, she often lingered. One Tuesday, they were the last two left in a small conference room on 34. The sunset had turned the city outside the windows a hazy orange. The rest of the group had filed out with tired jokes and slumped shoulders. The hum of the air vents filled the gap they left behind. Noah slid his notebook into his bag and pushed his chair back a few inches. "You can go," Harper said, gathering the scattered printouts in front of her. "I will put the notes into something readable." "I thought that was what we just did," he said. "What we just did was argue in bullet points," she replied. "I try not to send that to anyone who is not being paid to sit in the room." He smiled. "You are sure you do not want help?" "With the documents?" she asked, looking up. "With the staying late," he said. "You do this a lot." She considered him for a moment. "Yes," she said, "I do." There was no pride in it, just recognition. He checked his phone. A message from Mrs. Gomez confirmed Lily had finished her homework and was now engaged in a fierce debate with a cartoon about the physics of flying castles. There was no immediate emergency tugging him away. "I can stick around a bit," he said. "Kill some jargon, move a few commas." Harper placed the last paper in a neat stack. "You really cannot help yourself, can you?" she asked. "Is that a problem?" he said. "It is useful," she said. "Sit then." He sat again. She slid a draft agenda toward him. Paragraphs marched across the page in dense lines. He read a few, then looked up. "This part makes no sense," he said. "Be specific," she replied. "Aligning cross-functional synergies to leverage client-facing opportunities." He read. "What does that even mean?" "It means we want departments to talk to each other before a customer screams at us," she said. "Then why not say that?" he asked. She looked at the line, then back at him. "Because people like to sound important," she said. "And because sometimes I am too tired to fight every sentence." "Let me help with that," he said. "At least on the days I am here." She handed him a pen. "Be my editor," she said. "For this room at least." The hours after that blurred into a companionable kind of work. He crossed out phrases, rewrote them in clearer language. She accepted most of his changes without argument, questioned a few, and offered better alternatives on others. He learned that she thought fast but did not rush. If she rejected a suggestion, it was because she had weighed it and found it lacking, not because it bruised her pride. If she liked one, she said so directly. At some point, his stomach rumbled softly. The clock on the wall crept past 7. "You should go," she said. "Lily will think I have kidnapped you." "She already thinks the building eats time," he said. "She might not be wrong." He packed up and slipped his bag over his shoulder. "You do not have anyone waiting at home to complain about your schedule," he said lightly. "No," she replied. The word was simple, but it sat heavy. He hesitated near the door. "Do you ever get to just leave?" he asked. "No emails, no calls, no review trails." She turned the pen between her fingers, the plastic clicking softly. "Physically, yes," she said. "Mentally, I do not remember the last time." He nodded, then nodded again because there was nothing in the manual for what to say to that. He left with the feeling that some part of her stayed in that chair even when her body walked away. The pattern repeated. Meetings, notes, late sessions where the city lights came up one by one behind the glass. In those after hours, the conversations loosened. One night, Harper pushed her chair back and rubbed her eyes. "If I look at one more forecast, I might start seeing them in my sleep," she said. "You do not already?" he asked. "In my dreams," she said, "the graphs chase me." "That sounds about right," he said. She let out a tired laugh. It caught him off guard every time the way it softened her face, rounded the edges of her control. "What did you want to be?" he asked before he could stop himself. "Before Northline, before all of this." She paused. The question seemed to have landed somewhere she had not visited in a while. I was supposed to be a lawyer, she said, according to my parents. That tracks, he said. They liked the idea of respectable arguments, she replied. They imagined me in nice suits quoting case law. And you wanted that, he asked. I wanted out, she said, out of our small town, out of our house, out of the expectation that I would marry a man who owned a chain of something. So you chose tech, he said. I chose anything that looked like a door, she answered. Coding was a language I could teach myself without asking permission. It did not care where I was from. It only cared if the program worked. You must have been good at it, he said. I was relentless at it, she said. Good came later. He watched her fingers trace the edge of a page. What about you? She asked. What did you want to be? A musician, he said. Her eyebrows lifted. Really? She asked. He shrugged. For about 2 years in high school. Then I realized being a musician involved playing in front of people. And that was the deal breaker, she said. I liked the music, he said, not the stage. Also, I was not that good. So you picked it? She asked. Ceased. I picked something that would pay for groceries, he replied. I enjoyed tearing apart old computers as a kid. It felt like a workable compromise. And now? She asked. And now I'm the person people call when the things they depend on stop working, he said. Sometimes that feels like enough. Sometimes, she repeated. He gave a small smile. I have not fully written off the band option. What would you play? She asked. Guitar, he said. Badly. She gave him a look that said she was storing that away somewhere. On another evening later that month, the building was nearly empty when they left a meeting together. The hallways felt hollow without the usual flow of staff. Their footsteps echoed faintly. You always stay this late? Noah asked. Not every night, she said. Enough. He glanced at her profile. The fatigue was there, but so was something like determination. Do you remember the last time you went home while it was still light? He asked. She thought for a second, then shook her head. No, she said. I remember the lake. He did not need to ask which one. You could go back, he said. I could, she said. If I could convince the board that unplugging me for a weekend is not the same as shutting down the company. You are allowed to rest, he said. Allowed and able are not the same, she replied. They rode the elevator down together, both staring at the changing numbers. On 31, the doors opened and no one got in. Harper watched them close again. When Lily was born, Noah said quietly, I thought resting meant I was not doing enough, so I stopped, for a while. And now, she asked. Beschäftigt. Now I rest when she passes out on my chest, he said. She does not give me much of a choice. Describe that, she said. He glanced at her. You want me to describe my kid snoring on me? Yes, she said. I would like to know what that feels like. He looked at the elevator wall instead of her reflection. It was easier that way. She is heavier than she looks, he said. When she falls asleep on me, everything goes quiet. Her breathing slows. The rest of the world sort of blurs out. No deadlines, no error codes, just the weight of her and the sound of her breathing. His voice had gone softer without his permission. For a few minutes, he said, nothing else gets in. When he risked a glance at Harper, her expression had changed. The practiced calm had slipped. Something like longing sat in its place. That sounds steady, she said. It is, he replied. It reminds me that I exist for something other than putting out fires. They stepped out into the lobby. The security guard nodded as they passed. Outside, the city was glossy with recent rain streetlights, casting long reflections on the pavement. Do you have anyone who does that for you? He asked. Reminds you? She looked through the glass doors at the cars streaming past. I have a board that reminds me I exist to keep the numbers going up, she said. Siblings who send me texts from beaches in other states. Friends from another life who think I have turned into a calendar. And you? He asked. And me, she said. I remind myself that I chose this, that I am lucky, that other people would kill for my problems. He heard the list neat and practiced like a script she had used many times. That does not answer the question, he said gently. She smiled without humor. No, she said. It does not. They stood there for a moment just beyond the security gates, the hum of the building at their backs, the cool air from the revolving doors brushing their faces. You are easy to talk to, Harper said suddenly. I do not think anyone has ever said that to me in this building, he replied. They should, she said. I think most people are not sure what to do with me, he said. I fix things, then vanish into the ceiling tiles. She considered that, then shook her head. You do not vanish, she said. You just go where people stop looking. The street outside flickered with headlights. Somewhere behind one of those windows, someone was probably eating dinner at a normal hour. Do you need a ride? She asked. No, he said. The bus and I have an understanding. Lily is waiting, she said. She is planning new ways to destroy the remote, he said. I should go help it survive. Tell her I am on the remote side, Harper said. He smiled. I will pass along your condolences. He stepped through the door into the cool air. For a second, as it closed behind him, he saw her reflection overlay his own in the glass. Two separate lives caught together in the same thin surface. At home later that night, Lily did fall asleep on his chest, partway through a movie about a girl who could talk to animals. Her hair tickled his chin. Her small hand clutched the fabric of his shirt. He felt his phone buzz once near his leg. Carefully so as not to wake her, he reached for it. A message from an unknown number appeared. This is Harper. Maya gave me your contact. Let me know if tomorrow's meeting time makes things difficult with Lily's schedule. We can adjust. He stared at the words, at the simple acknowledgement that his daughter existed as something the company should plan around. He typed back with one thumb. Time works, thank you for asking. He hesitated, then added, Lily says the remote deserves legal representation. He watched the three dots appear and disappear. Tell her I will draft a policy, Harper wrote. He huffed out a quiet laugh, careful not to shake Lily too much. The weight of his daughter pressed warm and solid against his chest. The glow of the screen lit his hand. For the first time in a long while, the stretch between his life at home and his life in the tower did not feel like an empty gap. It felt like a space where something was quietly being built, piece by piece in the late hours, and in the lines of messages that did not sound like they belonged in a boardroom at all. The building had a particular kind of quiet after 9 in the evening. Not empty, not asleep, just muted, as if the walls knew there were fewer people to listen now. Noah noticed it more on nights like this one, when the rest of his day had already stretched as far as it could go. He had spent the afternoon fighting a rogue update that tried to break half the printers on the 7th floor. Then he had gone upstairs to sit in a room where people argued about resource allocation and customer churn. Now the meeting was over. The others had scattered, pulled away by calendars and children and late dinners. Only he and Harper remained in her office, standing near a round table where paper cups and half-full glasses of water formed a small constellation. Outside the windows, Seattle glowed. Streetlights traced lines between buildings. The bay was a dark smear beyond the reflections. Harper gathered a few loose pages and tapped them into a straight stack. I am calling it, she said. If we stare at these numbers any longer, they will start lying to us. Pretty sure they already did, Noah said. 3 different departments each claimed ownership of the same success. Everyone wants to be the hero, she replied. No one wants to admit they tripped over the cape. He smiled. The fatigue in his body made the expression feel slower than usual. She set the papers down and checked her watch. You should go, she added. Lily has school in the morning. Mrs. Gomez will have her in bed by now, he said, assuming she did not bribe her with another episode of that dragon show. Does the dragon show pass Lily's accuracy test? Harper asked. It fails on wing structure, he said, but she forgives it for good jokes. Harper's mouth curved. The gesture did not erase the tiredness around her eyes, but it softened it. And you, he asked, anyone telling you to go home? My inbox likes to think it is a person, she said. It has opinions about my location at all hours. That is not the same, he said. I know, she replied. She reached for her jacket hanging over the back of a chair and shrugged it on. The movement was smooth practiced, armor sliding into place. They walked out together. The corridor was almost empty. A cleaning cart stood near one of the glass walls, its wheels silent on the carpet, the mop bucket still. Somewhere down the hall, someone laughed quietly, then stopped. Their footsteps made small sounds. The air had that late-night crispness, cooler and drier, as if the ventilation system had decided to breathe more slowly. They reached the elevator and stopped. The call button glowed softly. Harper clasped her hands loosely in front of her thumb, brushing the edge of her watch. Noah tucked his fingers into his pockets and leaned back against the wall, just enough to take some weight off his feet. Do you ever get used to all this glass? He asked, nodding toward the wide windows that lined the hallway. You mean the feeling that someone could always be watching, she said. Something like that, he replied. I stopped noticing it as a threat, she said. Somewhere along the way, it just became part of the view. He looked at her reflection in the nearest pane. It sat next to his in the glass, faint and slightly blurred. 2 overlapping shapes that did not quite touch. The first time I came up here, he said, I felt like I was walking through a fish tank. And now, she asked. Now it just feels like a different part of the same building, he said. Still strange, less terrifying. Progress, she said. The elevator hummed behind the doors. A soft mechanical shuffle, then a chime. The light above the frame changed. The doors slid open, revealing the empty car. Neither of them moved. Harper watched the open space, then turned her head toward him. "Do you remember what you said?" she asked. "About that photo? About the dock?" He met her eyes. "I remember a lot of things I said," he answered. "You said I looked like I was not carrying anything for a minute," she said. "I did," he replied. "I have been thinking about that," she said, "more than I would like to admit." The elevator waited patient and bright. "That day at the lake," she continued, "I did not feel free because of the scenery. The trees were nice. The air smelled better than Seattle, but that was not it." "What was it?" he asked. "I was not alone," she said. "Jenna was there. She was doing all the talking, making all the decisions about pancakes and swimming. For a few hours, no one needed me to be the woman who signs things." Her voice stayed level, but there was a thin thread running through it, now something quieter than her usual tone. "I forgot what that felt like," she said. Noah listened. The hum of the elevator bled into the hum of the building, a deep, constant vibration under everything. "When you described that photo," she said, "I realized how far away that version of me feels. I see her sometimes on magazine spreads or on the covers of reports. But she is a shape more than a person, something people project onto." She looked past him down the hall, then back. "In the last few weeks," she said, "working with you with the team, I have noticed something else. There have been whole days where I did not feel like I was standing up here by myself, holding everything together with my hands." He searched her face for sarcasm. There was none. "I am not saying my life is suddenly a vacation," she added. "The board still calls. The deadlines still stack. But there are moments when I walk into one of those rooms, and you are there, and I feel the weight shift. Just a little." He knew the feeling from the other side. The way his own shoulders dropped when he saw her walk into a meeting that could have gone sideways without her presence. He took a half step closer, not enough to break any rules, enough to make the air between them feel more defined. "You are not holding it alone," he said. Her eyes flicked up to his. The overhead light caught tiny gold threads in the brown. "I know that in theory," she said. "Intellectually, I oversee departments full of capable people, but knowing something in your head is different from feeling it." She hesitated, then added, "Lately there have been moments when I feel it." The elevator let out a soft tone, as if to remind them it was still there. The doors began to close. Harper reached out and laid her hand on the edge, stopping the panels mid-slide. The motion was gentle but firm. Metal met palm with a small, solid thud. "You told me once," she said, "that we catch systems before they burn out, that we teach them to start on better code." "I did say something like that," he replied. "Do you ever think about applying that to people?" she asked. "All the time," he said. She looked at his face, searching. Whatever she saw there seemed to ease something in her shoulders. "I am not very good at asking for help," she said, "or even admitting I need it. That is a flaw in my own design." "Most systems do not diagnose themselves," he said. "For the record," she said, "you being in those rooms in this office has changed how it feels to do this job. Not just because you fix things, because you look at me and see more than a title." It was as close to a confession as anything he had heard from her. He stepped in, closing the small distance between them. They were still not touching, but the space between their shoulders, their arms, their hands curved into something charged. "You are not alone, Harper," he said quietly. "Not anymore." The words were simple. They landed like something heavier. Her hand stayed on the elevator door. Her fingers were pale where they pressed into the metal. For a second she did not speak. Her gaze held his steady and unguarded. Without the practiced calm, her features looked younger. Tired, yes. Strong, but also something else. Open. "Thank you," she said finally, "for saying it in plain language." "It is the only language I know," he replied. A trace of a smile touched her mouth. "I am starting to appreciate that," she said. She released the door and stepped back. The panels slid open fully again, inviting them in. The moment stayed suspended in the air even as they moved. She gestured toward the car. "Go," she said, "before the bus decides to punish you." He stepped inside. The lights inside the elevator painted his reflection in clean lines on the metal. He turned to face her. "Do you need a ride down?" he asked. "I will catch the next one," she said. "I need a minute." "All right," he said. He did not ask what she needed the minute for. He had a feeling he already knew. The doors began to close. Through the narrowing gap, he saw her standing there, framed by the hallway light and the distant glow from the windows. Hands at her sides now. shoulders not quite as tight as they had been at the start of the night. Just before the doors met, she spoke again. "Noah?" "Yeah," he said. Her voice reached him cleanly. "You were right about the photo," she said. "I was happy that day." The doors closed with a soft seal. The elevator started down. His reflection watched him in the metal eyes a little wider than before. He felt the motion in his knees and his ribs. Floors slipped by unseen behind the walls. Up on 38 in a hallway lined with glass and quiet Harper Lane, stood still for a long moment. The hum of the building wrapped around her. The hand that had held the elevator door tingled slightly. A small, almost invisible smile came and went. The world outside the windows had not changed. The weight of her responsibilities had not dissolved. The board would still call. The emails would still arrive. But in a clear, solid corner of her mind, something had shifted. A new line of code had been written into the way she started and ended her days. The request came on a Thursday morning, wrapped in the same kind of calm subject line as any other ticket. Media room, playback issue, 12th floor. Noah skimmed the details. The media system in the family lounge was looping the same 3 seconds of a cartoon and refusing to respond to any commands. He sipped his coffee and filed it under annoying, not urgent, planning to get to it between a server patch and a security review. Then he saw the note at the bottom. Per Ms. Lane, if Noah is available, assigned to him. He blinked. "Someone important want their cartoons back?" his supervisor asked, leaning over his shoulder. "Looks like a general media glitch," Noah said. "I can take it." "Fine," the man replied. "Go save the entertainment system. Try not to start a revolution." It was one of the few tasks that did not require climbing into a ceiling or crawling under a desk, so he grabbed his smaller kit and headed for the elevator. On the way out, his phone buzzed. A message from Mrs. Gomez. "Lily feels better. No fever. She is bored. She wants to build a robot from your spare parts." He smiled at the screen. "Please tell her she is not allowed to dismantle my laptop," he typed back. Then on impulse he added, "There is a family lounge at my office with a media room. I need to fix something there. If you are up for the trip, you could bring her for an hour." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. "She already has her shoes on," Mrs. Gomez wrote. "We will meet you in the lobby in 30 minutes. By the time the elevator doors opened on the ground floor, they were waiting at the security desk. Lily wore her favorite yellow hoodie, the one with faint paint stains on the sleeves. Her curls were pulled into 2 uneven puffs, and she had a bandage on one knee that had appeared sometime between last night and now. She spotted him and lifted both arms. "Dad," she said, "you are late." "I am exactly on time," he said, bending to hug her. "You are early." "Same thing," she replied. Mrs. Gomez gave him a look that held both mischief and warning. "She has questions," she said. "When does she not?" Noah answered. They checked in at the front desk. The security guard printed visitor badges for Mrs. Gomez and Lily. The little plastic clip looked oversized on Lily's small shirt. "Is this like a secret agent pass?" she whispered as Noah helped her attach it. "Only if you agree not to blow my cover," he said. Her eyes gleamed. "I will be stealthy." They rode the elevator to the 12th floor, where the family lounge sat behind a glass wall. Inside were soft chairs, a bookshelf full of children's titles, a few small tables, and a media corner with a large screen and a row of game consoles neatly tucked beneath. Right now, the screen showed a purple dragon frozen mid-roar. The dragon's eyes twitched in a short loop, and the flame's puffs started and stopped without ever leaving its mouth. "This is tragic," Lily said. "He is stuck." "That is why we are here," Noah said. Mrs. Gomez settled into an armchair with a magazine. Lily hovered near the media console while Noah crouched to access the system panel. "Can I help?" she asked. "Besiegt." "You can help by not pressing anything," he said. "Just for a minute." She clasped her hands behind her back and leaned in to peer over his shoulder anyway. He felt her breath on his neck as she watched the rows of buttons and ports. The glitch turned out to be a straightforward buffer issue. The media center had tried to download 3 updates at once and choked. He cleared the queue, restarted the playback module, and waited as the system cycled. The dragon came back to life, completing his roar at last. Lily clapped as if he had accomplished something heroic. "He was in a time loop," she said. "You freed him." "All in a day's work," Noah replied. "Does he get a lawyer now?" she asked. "Only if he plans to sue the network," he said. She giggled and wandered toward the window. The 12th floor did not have the sweeping view of 38, but it still looked out over a cluster of rooftops, the streets running between them like narrow rivers. "This place is high," she said. "Not as high as some," he answered. As if conjured by the thought, his phone buzzed. From H. Lane. Maya tells me you are on 12. If you are still here in 10 minutes, could you stop by my office briefly? He glanced at Lily, nose smushed to the glass, hands leaving small prints. I might need to go up for a bit, he told Mrs. Gomez. Harper wants to see me. Who is Harper? Lily asked, spinning around. She is my boss's boss's boss, Noah said. She runs the company. Does she run the dragon? Lily asked. In a way, he said. Mrs. Gomez waved a hand. Go, she said. We will not let the dragons unionize without you. He hesitated. You sure? I have survived 3 grandsons, she said. One Lily will not defeat me. He knew better than to argue. Still, when he stepped into the elevator, he pressed 38 and then stopped, finger hovering over the panel. The doors began to close. At the last second, he stepped back into the hallway and turned to where Lily stood near the media corner. Lil, he called. She ran over, shoes squeaking on the vinyl. You want to see where I work when I talk to the robots? He asked. Her eyes widened. The top part, she said. The top part, he confirmed. She looked at Mrs. Gomez, who gave a small nod. Stealth mission, the older woman said. Go. Lily grabbed Noah's hand with both of hers. Her palm was small and warm. In the elevator, she turned in a slow circle, taking in the mirrored walls. It is like being inside a shiny box, she said. Pretty much, he said. Do the fancy people ride this every day? She asked. They do, he said. Do they get dizzy? She asked. Some of them might, he said. They do not talk about it. The doors opened on 38. Lily stepped out first, then stopped abruptly. The hallway stretched out quiet and pristine, lined with glass offices and tasteful art. She took it in without speaking for once. Whoa, she whispered finally. It is like a spaceship. He had thought something similar on his first day. They walked toward Harper's office. The plaque on her door caught Lily's eye. Harper Lane, she read slowly. She has 2 names. Most people do, Noah said. You know what I mean, Lily replied. Her hand found his again as he knocked lightly on the open door. Harper sat at her desk laptop, open a thin stack of papers to one side. She looked up, expecting only him. For half a heartbeat, her expression showed the calculation of shifting gears. Then she smiled, small but real. I see we have company, she said. This is Lily, Noah said, the dragon inspector. Lily straightened, as if being introduced to a queen. Hello, she said. Your building is tall. It is, Harper agreed. You must be very brave to come all the way up here. Lily seemed to consider this. My ears popped a little bit, she said, but I am okay. Good to hear, Harper said. Her said. She stood and came around the desk, lowering herself slightly so she was closer to Lily's height. I am Harper, she said. I work with your dad sometimes. Do you make his robots be nice? Lily asked. In a manner of speaking, Harper said. I try to keep them from eating his entire day. Too late, Lily replied. They eat a lot. Noah covered his mouth with his hand. Harper's eyes flicked to him, amused. I will have a talk with them, she said. We have policies about that. Lily looked around the office. Her gaze landed on the plant by the window. Is that real? She asked. It is, Harper said. Barely. You should give it a friend, Lily said. Plants do better when they have friends. Harper glanced at the small pot as if seeing it through new eyes. I will keep that in mind, she said. Noah shifted his weight. We were on 12, he explained. Media room had a loop. I fixed it. Mrs. Gomez brought Lily along, so I thought she could see the spaceship too. I am glad you did, Harper said. She gestured toward the seating area near the window. You both have a minute, she asked. Lily darted toward the glass, pressing her hands against it. The city stretched out below like a map, streets thin and neat. We are so high, she said. Do you ever jump? No, Harper said. The lawyers would be very upset. The lawyers would be very dead, Noah added. Lily giggled. Harper watched the girl for a moment. There was something almost careful in her gaze, as if she was cataloging every gesture. Lily, she said, do you like gummy bears? The child's head snapped around. Yes, she said, very much. Harper opened a drawer in the credenza and pulled out a small, unopened bag. She held it up. I keep these for emergencies, she said. I think this qualifies. Lily's face lit. Thank you, she said, accepting the bag with both hands. You are the best boss of the sky. Noah blinked. Boss of the sky, he repeated. You own the top, Lily said to Harper. That is where the sky starts. Harper laughed, soft and surprised. I will try not to let it go to my head, she said. Lily tore open the bag and held it out. Do you want one? She asked. Harper looked briefly startled, then reached in and took a single red bear. Thank you, she said. Lily turned to Noah. Dad, you get the green ones. I always do, he said. They shared the small candy in comfortable silence. The hum of the building seemed less intrusive with a child in the room. Even the glass felt less like a barrier and more like a frame. After a few minutes, Lily wandered over to Harper's desk. Her eyes landed on the sleek laptop. "Is that the one that was sick?" she asked. "It was," Harper said. "Your dad fixed it." "Good," Lily said. "Machines should not crash. They should not crash. It is rude." "I agree," Harper replied. Lily peered at the dark screen. Her reflection stared back tiny and fuzzy. "Do you have any games on it?" she asked. "No," Harper said. "Not the fun kind." Lily frowned. "You should get some, for resting." Noah saw the flicker of thought behind Harper's eyes. The idea seemed to land somewhere unexpected. "I will consider that," Harper said. Mrs. Gomez appeared at the doorway, then slightly out of breath. "I hope she has not taken apart anything," she said. "Only my illusions about remote control safety," Harper said. "You met the boss," Mrs. Gomez whispered loudly to Lily. "She gave me gummy bears," Lily replied. "Then she is a good boss," Mrs. Gomez said. Noah stood. "We should let Harper get back to ruling the sky," he said. "Thank you for letting us invade," Mrs. Gomez added. "You are welcome any time," Harper said, "within reason." Lily walked back to the window one more time, pressing her palm flat against the glass. "It is like touching the clouds," she said. "It is mostly fingerprints," Noah said. "Fingerprints are clouds you can see," she replied. Harper watched the small handprint appear, then slowly fade as Lily pulled away. "Come on, Cloudmaker," Noah said. "We have to get you back to ground level." They said goodbye. In the hallway, Lily skipped ahead, humming something off-key. Mrs. Gomez followed, shaking her head with fond exasperation. Noah lingered just outside the office for a heartbeat. Through the open door, he saw Harper standing by the window, looking at the faint smudge Lily had left on the glass. Her expression was not one he saw in meetings. It held something softer, quieter. She lifted her hand and placed it on the other side of the glass fingers, aligned with where Lily's had been a moment before. Her eyes closed briefly, the gesture small and private. Then she dropped her hand straightened and turned back to her desk. As Noah walked toward the elevator, Lily raced back to catch up gummy bear bag crinkling in her grip. "Dad," she said slightly out of breath, "I like your sky boss." "Do you?" he said. "She is serious," Lily replied, "but she looks like she might know good jokes." He thought of the remote's legal rights, the Dragons Union, the policy about robots eating his day. "She is learning," he said. Lily nodded, satisfied. They stepped into the elevator together. As the doors closed, Noah glanced at their reflections side by side. His tall and tired, hers small and bright, both framed by the same shining metal. For the first time, the ride between floors did not feel like traveling between separate planets. It felt like something closer. Two parts of his life sharing the same brief humming space. The rain came back on a Wednesday night. It streaked the glass of the North Line Tower in thin silvery lines, turning the city lights into soft smears of color. Inside, most of the offices on the lower floors were dark. A few glowed here and there rectangles of white and blue. On 38, Harper Lane sat at her desk, her jacket folded over the back of the chair for once. The top button of her shirt was undone. Her laptop screen cast a pale light over the neat spread of papers in front of her, most of them marked with notes in her small, precise handwriting. The latest report from the think tank team lay on top. It was not a glossy deck. No stock photos, just a series of problem statements and proposed fixes in clear language. Some of the margin notes were in her handwriting. A few were in Noah's. His slanted script stood out. Ticket backlog dropped 18% after policy change. One line read his ink underlining the number. "Bottleneck confirmed in mid-level approvals," another said. "Recommend bypass lane for critical issues." Harper read through the pages one more time, then set them aside. A small warmth lived in her chest that did not come from coffee or victory. It felt more like recognition. Her email pinged. A reminder from her calendar blinked at the corner of the screen. "System maintenance check with IT, 8:30 tomorrow." She smiled faintly. She had added that herself after Noah called one morning at 7 to apologize for missing a meeting because Lily had woken up with a fever. "I can join from home in an hour," he had said. "Once I know she is settled." "It can wait," she had answered. "We are not rebooting a rocket." Even thinking about that made her hand move to the mouse now. She closed the report and minimized her inbox. For a second, the desktop background shone clear. It was still the standard Northline image, an abstract swirl of blue and white. Neutral, bland, meant to offend no one and inspire nothing. She stared at it. Then she opened a folder tucked quietly in a corner of her drive. Personal, the label read. Inside, thumbnails of photos lined up in a grid. Most were old. A few were newer. The one from Crescent Lake sat in the center, as if the folder itself remembered which file she came back to most. She clicked it. The image filled the screen. The dock, the water. Jenna's lucky shot of her caught mid-turn, that almost smile. For a long moment she did nothing. The sound of the rain against the windows was louder than the hum of the vents. Somewhere far below, tires hissed on wet pavement. Her cursor hovered over the toolbar, set as desktop background. Her finger clicked before she could talk herself out of it. The abstract swirl vanished. The lake took its place. The edges stretched slightly to fit the frame, but the heart of it stayed the same. Wood and water, and the younger version of herself in that ridiculous gray sweater sitting in the middle of it. The sight pulled something loose inside her. Not regret exactly, more like a memory of how it felt to have nothing urgent tugging at the edges of her attention. She let the feeling settle, then reached for her phone. The message thread with Jenna sat halfway down the list. Their last exchange was from a month ago. A photo of a beach, a sarcastic comment about sunblock. Harper opened a new line. Thinking about Crescent Lake, she typed. You still have that cabin contact. She stared at the words for 2 full breaths, then hit send. The 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Look who remembers she is human, Jenna replied. Yes, I will send you the info. Planning something. Considering, Harper wrote back. Good, came the response. Consider fast. Life is short. Harper smiled despite herself and put the phone face down on the desk. On the other side of the room, the window reflected her new desktop back at her in a ghostly white rectangle. Her own outline hovered over it, layered in the glass. Present and past stacked together. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a different name. Noah. Finished for the night, his message read. Mostly, Lily demanded one more chapter of her book. She says hi, and that the remote is behaving, for now. Harper picked the phone up. Tell her I am proud of the remote, she wrote. Then before she could overthink it, she added, Thank you for today, the meeting. Your input helped more than you think. The reply came a moment later. Happy to help, he wrote. I told them the truth. You did the hard part. She leaned back in her chair. Is Lily asleep? She asked. Sisked. Almost, he sent. Currently using me as a pillow, again. She pictured it. Couch, faded blanket. The glow of a television paused on some animated scene. Lily curled against him, hair tickling his chin, his arm dragged around her by habit. What does that feel like? She typed, then paused. They had had this conversation once in the elevator, but she wanted the answer again. He did not question the repetition. Heavy, he wrote, in a good way, like someone decided I am the safest place in the room and forgot to move. She swallowed. Her fingers rested on the keys for a second. I have never been anybody's safest place. She sent the honesty surprising even her. A longer pause this time. She could almost see him thinking. You are, he wrote back. Most of the people in this building would not admit it, but they breathe easier knowing you are in charge. That is different, she replied. Not as different as you think, he said. And for what it is worth, those meetings feel safer to me with you there. So, does this ridiculous glass floor. She stared at the words. The room seemed to tilt just a little then, right itself. Noted, she wrote. I will try to live up to that. You already do, he sent. She did not know how to answer that, so she did not. Instead, she took a picture of her screen. The lake, the dock, herself in the sweater. She sent it without a caption. There was a beat of nothing. Then, you changed it, he wrote. Looks better than the Northline swirl. Do not tell Branding, she replied. They will sue for emotional damage, he said. She smiled. Her eyes felt oddly hot. It is strange, she wrote, seeing that version of me every time I close a window. Maybe it is a reminder, he suggested, that you are allowed to be more than one version at a time. She looked at the image again, at the relaxed shoulders, at the way the sunlight lit her face from the side. Do you ever feel like that now? His next message asked. Like you are not carrying everything even for a second. Her gaze shifted to the handprint still faintly visible on the glass by the window. The cleaning crew had missed it, or maybe she had told them to leave it without saying why. Sometimes, she wrote, in certain rooms, with certain people. Good, he sent. Hold on to that. Restart on better code. She huffed out a quiet breath. He had a way of turning her own metaphors back on her that felt less like a lecture and more like a nudge. I am trying, she wrote. I can tell, he replied. She set the phone down and stood stretching out the stiffness in her back. The rain had slowed beads of water clinging to the glass like tiny magnifying lenses. The city below still glowed, but the edges were softer now, smudged by the wet. She walked to the window. The faint imprint of Lily's hand was there, a blurred patch about the size of her palm, lower than her own shoulder. She lifted her hand and pressed it gently over the mark. The glass was cool. Her skin warmed it, leaving a second print slightly larger than the first. From this angle, she could see her reflection more clearly, the outline of her face, the shape of her eyes, the faint curve at the corner of her mouth that had been missing in most of her professional portraits. Behind her on the desk, her laptop went to sleep. The screen dimmed, and then shifted, the lake photo appearing as the screensaver. Dock, water, sweater. A moment that had once belonged to another life, now folded into this one. The hum of the building wrapped around her in a familiar way. It no longer sounded like a machine grinding through a list of demands. Tonight it sounded closer to breathing. Far across town, in a small apartment with narrow windows, Noah settled deeper into the couch. Lily was a warm weight against him, mouth parted, one hand still clutching the edge of his shirt. The television was dark. The only light came from a lamp in the corner, and the faint glow from his phone on the coffee table. He watched the rain trace slow paths down the glass. His mind drifted briefly back to 38, to the hallway, to the look on Harper's face when she had stopped at the elevator door with her hand. He did not name whatever had taken root between the three of them, him and Harper and Lily, because it did not feel like it needed a label yet. It lived in shared meetings and late messages, and the way his world no longer felt entirely divided between home and work. In the tower, Harper dropped her hand from the window and turned off the desk lamp. The lake on the laptop screen glowed in the dark office, casting a soft light that cut the edges of the room. She picked up her phone once more, typed a last message, then paused to read it before sending. "Get some sleep, Noah," it said. "We need your system stable." She hit send. Across the city his phone buzzed. He read the line and smiled. "You too," he replied. "Try to keep your startup files clean." She saw the response and shook her head, but the smile stayed. Harper turned toward the door. The hallway outside would be almost empty now, the elevator ride down long and quiet. For once that idea did not feel like a descent into a different world. It felt like a simple change of floor. She stepped out of the office and pulled the door closed behind her. Inside, the lake kept shining on the screen, a small bright square of water and wood, in a room high above a city that was learning slowly how to run on better code. From the street below, if someone looked up at the North Line Tower, they would see one lit window near the top, wink out as she left. Others still burned. The building remained what it was, glass and steel against the night. Somewhere deep inside its walls, a system hummed along, stable where it had once crashed. Somewhere else, a woman who had spent years being treated like a function tapped her badge at the turnstile and walked out into the cool, damp air with a different kind of weight in her chest. Not lighter, not heavier, just newly quietly shared. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.